Well, it is a common thing. You know, people, they have a right to be here, they have a right to leave. And you're right. The common denominator is they leave, they say they're fine, everything is great. Within a couple days to a week, 2 weeks later, they bottom out. Then they want to get pissy and they want to play the blame game, and you're the one that's evil.
They don't want to accept where they're at.
No, they don't want to accept where they're at.
And
And this is what I've said. I'm not saying this as a condemnation. I'm not saying it as I've seen it too many times. They leave, they go back into the mind spin they were in before they came, and even more besides. And just a few days before that, before they left, they were quite fine. And they can leave and say, oh no, I'm in bliss, I'm doing great. And as evidenced by the letter that gets sent here, they're not fine. They're telling people one thing, but what's really going on behind the scenes is another thing.
that seems to be why there's it's like they're getting hit. Their status is getting hit, and that's what they don't like. They like
Well,
to think they're more advanced.
in some things,
Yeah.
for some cases, it's the status got hit and got outed.
Yeah.
Which was an ego, a big ego jolt.
Yeah.
In other cases, it's other things.
Okay.
It's not always that.
I thought it was.
In other cases, it's other things that are going on with them. They choose to, go back into unproductive activities that they were doing before, and then they get nailed. I mean, that's it. That's it. They have, like I said, they have some projection and they want to see things a certain way. And, when you're not willing to fulfill that kind of fantasy or that projection, they go on a bender. They try to turn the path into something it's not. And when they're not able to do that, and they finally come to terms they're not able to do that, then they get pissed off.
Yeah.
But the path hasn't changed. The teachings haven't changed. The pointings haven't changed. Nothing's changed. It was like that when they came in. When they come in, it's all explained to people. And I tell them this is not the path for everyone. If this is not a good match for you, then don't be here. For God's sakes, go find something that's a good match for you. Because there are a ton of other types of paths out there where you can have a really feel-good dynamic and people will pat you on the back and tell you how wonderful you are, etc., etc. Or you can have a bunch of practices that you can do daily and, in a bunch of rules and regulations and, things that tell you, oh, you should be doing like vegetarian and you feel great about it, and or wear white or what, I don't care what it is. A belief system to believe in, but none of that's given here.
No.
And I think that's why people get pissed off, because
Yeah.
they have to face themselves here. It's not about belief systems. It's not about some construct or putting somebody on a pedestal to believe in. I'm not giving them a damn thing to believe in. They have to sit with their own emotions and challenge themselves. And they want to come in and try to make it about believing in somebody, and then they want to try to skew it and say that's what it's all about, and it's never been about that. So they're blind and not even willing to look at the projections they're trying to make and place here, which have never been here.
They're always going to make it out to a persona that's doing it to them.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with here. Nothing to do with here. No pointing is ever said, you need to take at face value what's here. It's always said, you need to sit with your stuff and you need to go in and you need to look at it. You need to question it. You need to feel it. You need to go beyond it. What has that to do with here? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And it's inevitable if someone comes on this path, that is going to happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I tell people when they come, you are going to reach a time and a place a button's going to get pushed.
Yeah.
100%. I guarantee it.
Right.
And if it's the right button, they're going to go ballistic. Because you kind of hit the nail on the head for all their drama, what's driving them. And when you get to that point where you hit the nail on the head for all the drama that's driving them, yeah, that's painful. And people will either buckle down at that point and really start to do the intense work needed, or they'll bail and then want again to play the blame game.
Blame the persona.
Yeah. It's all your fault. No, I didn't make the life situation you're in. I'm not the one that's making your choices. People ask me, what do I do? Why are you asking me? You're the one that has to live with the consequences of your actions. Have I not said that time and time again?
Absolutely.
People come and they want to ask me what to do, and I tell them, you have to decide. You have to live with the consequences of your actions, not me. Why are you asking me what to do? But of course, people don't even want to accept that. So they leave, and again, they want to play the blame game. I've been so victimized. Well, no. The kicker was when the one sent the letter, well, I'm the victim and the victimizer, and I like it. Really? You want to be your own victimizer and you enjoy it to some degree. That's fabulous. How's that working for you? And then, of course, they want to still continue to say, I'm the one that's victimizing. In the letter, they say they're the ones that are victimizing themselves. They see it. But they don't want to, they don't want to attest to that. They don't want to accept that. Yeah, the same thing that, they send the letter that I'm after you and I'm the biggest demon of all and I'm doing everything I can to destroy you and you just keep popping up, Well, you might want to kind of look at that.
I think so.
Might want to kind of look at that. What are you so pissed off about?
This has been a common denominator here and in all the other paths, the same type of thing. They just want to throw a blame game for some persona for their own life situations.
Well, exactly. You're honest with people coming in. You tell them what it is, what it's not. You're honest with them along the way. They choose not to hear it. They choose to be in denial of what you're saying. And then when it takes place, then all of a sudden, I didn't know anything. It's nonsense. It's nonsense and it's sad. At the same time, because you can't come into a path and try to skew it your way.
You've said right from the start, it's not Burger King.
It's not, this is not Burger King. You can't have a drive-through and order it up your way. It just doesn't work. Any path has its dynamics, has the way that it's run. I don't care if you go to ashrams, I don't care. They all have their rules, their regulations, and that's it. If you go to a school, they have their rules and regulations. You can't just decide, well, I'm going to pick and choose what course I'm doing today, and now I've decided I don't want to do it, so screw you. Same thing. You go to school to learn. They set forth the curriculum. You're not the one that's going to tell them what the teacher's going to teach that day or not, and you're not going to wrangle it to fit the way you want to hear it. They have the course. That's the curriculum. You go through the school, and you come out the other end.
That's it.
That's it.
And no matter how many times you've said this, you keep on saying it, it doesn't sink in for quite a few.
Yeah. No, it doesn't sink in. They don't want to hear it. I can't help if people come in and they're not willing to hear what you're saying and think it applies to everybody except for them.
Right.
But I'm the one that's going to make a change. I'm the one that's going to come in and be able to reach realization within a month or two. I'm the one that's not going to have to do the hard work. I'm the one that's never going to have to face the dark night of the soul. I'm the one that's only going to have blissful experiences the whole way. Nothing tough. It's going to come in and I'm going to have a magical road before me. Well, no. no, no, and no.
And I can have a family and
Well,
kids
yeah,
I
I
need
can
to.
have a family and I can be engaged in that, and yet I'll have enough clarity and distance from that that I'll be able to navigate things, and family life and stuff is not going to affect me. Well,
And
there's a reason why in every religious persuasion they have monks, they have nuns. It's celibate. There's a reason for that. In every spiritual tradition, there is a place for celibacy. People don't want to hear that. They don't want to believe that. Well, I can't help if you want to believe it or not.
they even went as far as to say you were married when you went into realization, which was not, that
No,
was.
I was not married when I went into realization. That's a bunch of BS. I was not. I don't care what they want to put out there and spin. No, it's not the case. No, it's not the case. So, too bad. No. And I was celibate, and that's that. I don't know what to tell them.
And then again, blame you for it.
And blame me.
Blame,
Well,
blame. I'm in the family life. You were in the family life. What do you mean I can't reach realization?
well, no, I was not in family life
Yeah.
for most of my path.
Right.
Yes, I had been married. I had children. I raised my children by myself. I was not engaged in long-term marriages of 10, 15 years, 20 years. No, I was not.
Right.
So they can believe whatever they want to believe and try to put whatever spin they want to on it, but that's not the case. Like I said, each part of the path has things that are beneficial for it and things that are not. And it depends on, if you're not headed toward realization, if that's not your goal to get off the wheel of karma in this lifetime, there's nothing wrong with family life. I've never said there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
And when you get to the end and realization is established and the mind is still, which takes a good 10 to 12 years after the first initial falling away, it can take that long. Then if you want to go back to family life, you can do that. At that point, if you want to go back into that, you can go back into that, and it's not going to cause any type of a, shake up or whatever. That's established, it's not going to change. If you try to do it prior to that, yes, you will go into oneness, you will go into, you'll have a lot of difficulty, you won't be able to maintain it. That's the truth of it. People don't want to hear it, but that's the truth of it. Sorry, Again, people don't want to believe you. Read the Ashtavakra, read the Vivekchudamani, read these texts. The Tripura Rahasya, read it. They don't want to believe it. All I can do is give out the truth. Now, the truth is not going to be popular. I'm sorry. No apologies for it.
Right.
All I can give is what I've found through personal experience, what has been the truth of it and what is not.
Right.
Accept it or not. I don't care. I don't care. Up to you. Personal choice. Now we got people like, again, Rick Ross and this guy, whatever his name is, whatever the heck his name is. Yeah, that wants to know my lineage. None of their freaking business. Yes, I was involved in a lot of things throughout my life. A lot of them was involved in a lot of things and saw that that's not the way to go. You learn from also the negative as well as the positive. But they would like to dig and say, oh, you were involved in this, therefore you're a cult. You were involved in that, therefore you must be a cult. You were involved. They don't know my guru from Adam.
Right.
And when things fell away, everything changed. Your wisdom, all of the stuff that you had encountered in your life before fell into place as to what's valid, what's not valid, what's beneficial, what's not beneficial. Okay? So again, in each place, there were things that were beneficial, there were things that were not. even with that, yes, there were things that I had experienced that I saw, that the things that went on there that were absolutely atrocious. And I left immediately. It was not what I wanted to be involved in. And I left. So again, people come up with these notions. They don't know my guru. I don't give out his name because he doesn't want a lot of followers there. He wants to live out his life in peace. So no, I don't give a rat's ass how much you want to, spin it.
Yeah.
I'm more, interested in keeping his privacy because that's what he wants. So, they can ball blast me all they want. And I'm going to honor what he's given me. I'm going to respect his privacy. And I will follow his directives. Bottom line.
Right.
Now, you want to crucify me for it? Be my guest.
Right.
They found a couple little things about him on the net and they're off on a spin about it. Too bad. They don't know my time with him in India. They don't know what we discussed. They don't know,
They don't know
anything.
you. They don't know.
They don't know anything.
They're sitting there flapping their mouths off.
Exactly. They don't know a damn thing about it. Although they want to project, they've heard this, they've heard that, they've gleaned this, they've gleaned that, they've read this on the net, they've read that on the net, and they've constructed a whole big, huge story.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's ridiculous.
Just some small, simple thing going on here is being made into some mountain of nonsense.
Well, yeah, they want to continue to make it into a mountain of nonsense. I've been very open with my stuff. And why do I know a lot of the ones that you don't want to participate in? Because I've been there. I've seen it firsthand. I know what it does and what it doesn't do. Okay? Just like you can come out of a life situation, when you grow up and you say, that's the last thing I want in my life. You learn from the positive, you learn from the negative. You can either buy into it or you can see that it's bogus, you can see that it's harmful, you can see these things, and of course then that's the last thing you're going to be doing in your life.
Right. Of course,
Okay.
They spin it. Oh, she even acknowledges it was horrible, and yet she was there. They spin it and spin it.
What do you mean she acknowledges it was horrible and yet she was there?
You went through something that you saw was not productive, and then you moved on, and then they
Yeah,
take
and
that
I
as
left.
Yeah,
So what's there to spin?
they take that as an opportunity to
What's there to spin with that?
define it.
You're there. You see something. You see it's not beneficial. It's not what you're going to. Yes, there were some beneficial things there, and there's some things that are not beneficial. And the minute you see that it's not beneficial, the minute you see the dark side of it, the underbelly of it, you're out of it. This is why I never stayed in any ashrams in India, because I saw a very dark underbelly of them. I know things about ashrams in India that people should never know. Some of them that were started with blood money. Things that are going now in the ashrams, they're all very political. And people, want to go over there and they come in with these wide-eyed, fantasy notions about it. And if you're actually living there, you see really what's going on. And what's going on is not what's being projected on the surface. So I've been very honest with this stuff. 100%. Okay? So one takes the good with the bad. That's all. Yes, I've had former teachers. I've never spoken bad about any of them. I don't always agree with what they did. I understand sometimes why they did what they did, but it doesn't mean I agree with it. But I'm not going to badmouth any of them because I learned, even when it's a negative experience, I learned from it. And that's what happens in life. You learn. Even if you have a negative, it's like sometimes what I call the left-handed blessing, because you learn from it. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's not something you want to see. You want to believe all spiritual paths are wonderful. Well, they're not. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in them that can be dark. A lot of fallacy, a lot of BS. Okay, so you learn from that. But, they want to say, oh, you had contact with that before, therefore you must be a cult.
Right.
You had contact with this, therefore you have to be a cult. Nonsense. And the ones on the cult forums, have they not had some contact with cult before? Does that mean they continue to be a cult? No. But, if you're in spirituality, then you have to be a cult.
Right.
Nonsense. 100% BS. You're not going to know about something unless you've engaged it. That's it, bottom line. You got to go through the pits and the hell of life to understand what it is and how to get out of it.
Right.
If you come in with a freaking silver spoon in your mouth the whole life, what have you learned? You have no experience. You haven't faced that depth. You haven't faced that, you haven't faced those challenges to know how to get out of it. If you want to know how to get out of hell, you have to go through hell first, And that's, the life of any beneficial teacher. They have to have had the hard lessons in life in order to understand them, in order to find the way out.
Show others.
Exactly. If you're in a little feathered nest your whole life, then all you got is a bunch of spin, and I've heard this and I've heard that, but you have no real experience with anything. I mean, it's nice to say, oh, I've been in this wonderful place my whole life. How are you going to help anybody? You have no experience. You have no grit, you have no depth.
Right.
Doesn't work that way. Most teachers of any worth have had to go through very challenging things in their lives.
Makes total sense.
It's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's the way it is. And if they haven't, then they're full of BS.
Right.
Then they have a bunch of adopted speech they've got, and that's about it. Because they have no data. They can't understand what it's like to be in suffering. They don't understand what it's like to be in depression. They don't understand what it's like to go through that hell realm of mind and spin. They don't know what it's like to go through a dark night of the soul where you feel like you've been absolutely fucking crucified and you can't take the next breath. They don't know what it's like to have that depth of experience where you feel like you're going to spontaneously combust in any moment, because Kundalini is running so rampant. And you got to find the way to how to balance it. You got to find the way so you can bring that knowledge to others. People don't know what it takes to be a genuine teacher. The experiences you have to have had in order to bring that knowledge to people. It's not about sitting there and reading some books. And I've read this and I've read that, and now I can pass it along. No, that's not experience. That's hearsay. Genuine experience comes out of you have to have gone through that yourself. Fully, completely, and come out the other side to be able to aid people. I don't know how difficult this is for people to understand. But if you had some kind of depth of experience, they point to you and, oh, they can't be genuine because look at what they've gone through. Well, yeah, that's what makes you genuine. It's what makes it genuine. because you have had those depths of experience and you have gone through the trenches and come out the other side. And you hold the line and you hold the energy and you hold the wisdom and you give it out to who's ready and willing to hear it. And yeah, no, it's not always pleasant. You wish you could just say, oh, this little fantasy things, and it's all bliss and that's all this and it's all that, and there's nowhere to go and there's nothing to get, and well, that's not the truth of it. I mean, you look at like people like St. John of the Cross and etc., and they have gone through the trenches. Sitting on just getting that. They've gone through the trenches. You look at any of the genuine saints or whatever, look at their lives. It wasn't fluffy little, blissful things everywhere.
Right.
Look at any of the genuine saints, what they've gone through. Is it happy, happy, happy? No.
You said Christ sweat blood.
Yeah, Christ sweated blood. But he faced it and he went forward. Right, in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he knew they were coming, he sweated blood. You sweat blood when you're in absolute terror. Not, oh, I'm happy, happy, and it's all blissful, and it's, BS. Even he went through the testing out in the wilderness. And all these thoughts were going on. Well, if you're really the Son of God, throw yourself down. If you're really, well, no, I'm not going to test God. I'm not going to test him. Okay? Everyone goes through that testing. Any teacher has to face that basic type of a path where they get the torment, they get the testing, they get the, you have to go through that and come out the other side. Christ showed the way by example.
Right.
You believe him or you don't.
Right.
If you believe him, you look at his life, and that's what people have, basically you go through to some degree.
Right.
And you got to be willing to face that cross and put yourself on that cross and say, it's up to God. Into your hands I commend my spirit. It's what happens at the death experience. You climbed up on that cross of crucifixion, and into your hands I commend my spirit. Now it's up to you whether I make it through or not. And that's when that last death experience comes.
Total surrender.
It's total surrender at that point. Total surrender. It has to be total surrender. And you don't know what's coming. It's terrifying in that moment, but you have to absolutely, totally, 100% surrender yourself in that moment. And then the resurrection comes. But when you're going through it, and you're going through the dark night of the soul, at one point it feels like you're dead. And the suffering was bad enough, but this is even worse. When the heck's the resurrection coming, and you're just, so no, it's a very real journey that you make. That a teacher will make. They have to make that journey. People don't understand it. I don't talk a lot about it because it'll scare the bejeebers out of most people.
Right.
What you have to actually go through. People don't know the suffering and the pain and the things, the torment, the excruciating dark night of the soul experiences. They don't know. And, I don't say this is mandatory for everyone to go through that extent.
To that extent.
To that extent.
Yeah.
Because if I told them the extent that what teachers have to go through, it would scare the bejeebers out of people. Really would.
Yeah.
You really don't want to know what that 40 long years, that seems like about 7-8 lifetimes in that 40 years.
Yeah.
Of very intense search and very intense, again, giving yourself over to the Holy Spirit, to that, for that refining. It says you have to go through the fire. And that's what you do. You go through the fire, like metal, it refines it and spits it, gets rid of the dross, Now, does that sound like it's pleasant, happy, happy, blissful, blissful?
No.
No. You want to know the truth of it? The Bible has the truth of it in it as to what it takes to make a dedicated journey. People don't want to hear it. They want to hear the fantasy. They want a fantasy about it. I'm sorry, I don't deal in fantasy. You know? I don't deal in fantasy. And when you come and you're a teacher, like, Christ came to talk to the Pharisees. He came to straighten out that time. He came to, give the hard-hitting pointings. They didn't want to hear it, and they wanted to crucify him because they didn't like what he was saying.
Same dynamic.
It doesn't matter. Through every age and every time, teachers come, and if they want to make changes in society, they want to try to help humanity, they are going to be basically crucified. They're not going to want to hear it because it's not the popular thing. You have to give hard-hitting truth. You give the hard-hitting stuff. And the hard-hitting stuff is not always easy to hear. People don't want to hear that. They want the popular spin. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Right.
Because it's a half-truth. It's not the full truth. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lie to people to make them feel better, to make it more palatable. I'm not going to do that. It's better not to do anything then.
And again, that's the dynamics that's taking place now with the people reading, because that's exactly what's happening at all here.
Right. Well, they don't have to hear it. It's fine. Nobody's forcing anyone to be here, ever. Nobody's forcing anyone to do anything here. That's it. Yeah, same thing, people enter a convent or whatever, there are rules and regulations. You get up at 4, you get up and you've got a prayers and you got this and you got that you got to do. They do it of their own free will. They're not chained to be there. But if you want to work on yourself and you want that type of a thing, that introspection and contemplation, and they're married to Christ and they give themselves over to that, through deep introspection and just total surrender at every turn, then there's a price to be paid for it. They can't come in and say, well, I decided I want to sleep until 8 o'clock today because I just don't, I just don't want to. No.
They know it's going to be difficult in advance.
They know it's going to be difficult. This is what you choose.
Yeah.
That's the path you've chosen. Now you can't go in and change it to suit you. I don't care. You're not going to go into any convent or anything and tell Mother Superior how now you want it. It's not Burger King. It's not Burger King. And yeah, they have a lot of more minimalistic things for people that are not into, that dedicated, surrender to that degree. Within that churchiology, they have a lot of different levels. They have levels for more dedicated for people that are in family life. They have that. They have, they have other levels. Same thing as we've attempted to do here. When I see that people are not that dedicated, that don't want to be sannyasis, that don't want to have that type of a dedicated surrendering in all of the aspects of their life, okay, so fine. Here's this group. Here's the teachings. Take what you can get from it and live your life whatever you're going to do. And I will give advice. If you're going to do this path and you really want to walk it with any sincerity, don't be following other teachers. Don't be reading these other types of books. Here's a list of recommended books that will be beneficial for here, and these are the types that are not beneficial. Now, is somebody in their houses, with a 2x4 looking over to see what they're reading? No. 100% not. But you offer and you give the best pointings and the best advice you can give. Now, whether people listen to it and follow through on it or not, that's up to them. But you can't come back then and blame and say, well, they don't let me do this and they don't. Who's not letting you do it? Who's in your home? Who's there? It's ridiculous. They do it behind the scenes. They don't admit to it. And then when they leave, you know, they want to say, oh, you don't let me do it. It's nonsense. You know? So again, it's just absolute nonsense. People don't understand, you know. They want the more traditional type of paths where you go in and this is a lineage and this is all the teachings. You know, when you're a teacher and you're trying to bring something new, like Buddha at that point brought something new, you're going to ruffle feathers because it's not the traditional, you know. Well, I'm sorry. There are some times where you have to break new ground. It comes at a price. Okay? So that's that. Don't know what to say. And people can either, you know, want to be here or they have a right to leave. Like I said, nobody's forced to be here. Nobody's begged to stay. If they want to leave, fine, leave. Don't get pissed off then because I don't chase you and beg you to stay. If you don't want to take accountability in your life, you want to go back into denial or whatever it is, don't play the blame game.
Do anyway.
No, they do.
It's due.
They do, but whatever. That's on them.
Yeah.
That's on them. You know, I hope to God they know at some degree what they're doing. I hope to God they've taken something beneficial away and not just throw everything out the window because they need to make themselves right. Because a lot of times when they want to try to make themselves so right, they're really making themselves really wrong and causing a lot more suffering in their lives than they need to. And the whole thing about this path is to try to attempt to get them out of suffering, out of the things that are driving them to be in these unproductive avenues within their lives. Yeah, definite cult. Definite. For sure. That's a cult all over, to want to have people actually stand on their own 2 feet and take accountability in their lives. And don't pin it on me. Don't ask me what you have to do, because I tell them time and time again, you have to make your own choices. Don't ask me because you have to live with the consequences of your actions. I'm not living your life. You are living your life. So what part of that is a cult? Please tell me how that equates out to cult, that I am running your life. Are you kidding?
Even the people who left, if they followed the instructions to just go fully on with their lives and quit lingering here, even they would make
If
us
they
so
would
much
go
better.
on with their lives. But they leave and this stuff starts eating at them. You know? Because of the choices they've made or not made. Again, I have nothing to do with that. You make your choices, be accountable for your actions. That's all. That's all. Come on, Mask. That's all. So yeah, you know, if you come through a lot of years and you've made a lot of sacrifices in life to do the path, to you know, go through your own journey. And again, you come out the other end and you're, in this case, my guru wanted me to go forward and said it's time for you to be a guru now. And I accepted that and said, okay, fine. Not that it was something I wanted to rush into. But then looking at paths, knowing what I know from paths, other paths I've been on, that I've been in contact with, seeing how things are out in the spiritual community and the New Age community. Yes, all of those I've seen. Everything from science of mind to Scientology and everything in between. I was always interested in what was out there to see what made it tick. What I found was out there wasn't really wonderful. So that's why that a whole new path is constructed. Because what's out there is not beneficial. So am I holding the party line with this lineage and that lineage and you need to do this and do that? No. Because I saw it is not beneficial. That people need more help psychologically than to have a belief system to pin everything on, than to have some persona to pin everything on. It's not going to help them. They need to be able to look at their stuff, go through the experiences, go through the emotions of it, and look deeper. What's prior to that? What's this knee-jerk reaction really coming out of? What in my prior experience is causing this knee-jerk reaction to take place? That takes time. It takes energy to sit, to finally cut the threads enough that you can see what's prior, what is really there that's running the show, that's causing the suffering. Yeah, definitely cult. That's why, that I also developed a new way of doing some things in psychology, which some people are using very beneficially, that it goes very deep, very rapidly. Yes. You bring forward new practices, you bring forward things that are going to benefit humanity. Of course, you're going to get a lot of flack for doing so until it's been proven out. But yes, the methodologies here have been proven out. When they used it in, what was it, Denmark? Was it Denmark in within the drug treatment, they had the best recidivism rate ever when they were using the methodologies that I taught to them. The minute he started bringing in something different, it went right straight down the tubes. So has it been proven? Yes, it's been proven to work. Don't know what to say. This path is based on fact and things that are borne out versus those that are not. Okay. So I think we'll close this out for now, but this is a little bit about what it takes, to really be a teacher, to be a guru, to have a path, and all the BS you have to face along the way. With people that don't understand, they don't want to hear it, they don't want to understand it, they want to try to turn it into something it's not. Well, you can't. Can't. So again, this is not for everyone. Never said it was. So I'll continue to say that. It's not for everyone. If this is not a good match for you, don't be here. Please go elsewhere. For your own sake, for your own self, go somewhere else then. But don't try to twist it and maneuver it and turn it into something that you want it to be. Try to mix it with something else, because it's not going to work. It's not going to benefit you. In fact, all it can do is cause more confusion for you, and the object is to get out of confusion, whether here or another path. But pick one way to go. Like they say, too many cooks spoil the broth. I mean, really, you can't have a bunch of things at once and try to make it work. It doesn't work.
Clear.
That's pretty clear. I don't know how much more clearer I can make it than that.
You're telling people it's a difficult path to walk.
I've always said that.
And
Because again, like I said, this is not a path about belief systems. It's not giving them something to believe in. It's not giving them somebody to believe in. It's about throwing them back on themselves and saying, you are the author and finisher of your own fate. And you are the one that has your experiences, and you are the one that has to navigate through those experiences, going back till you find what has started the ball rolling and what keeps it in play and what is causing your suffering. What causes you to act out in the way that you do? What causes your knee-jerk reactions? What are they really about? That's it. So it's not believing in a specific God or doing those things. No, you've got to find out what God is and what God is not. Yourself. And you'll be amazed and surprised when you get to the end of the journey at what you find. That's all I can say. So, namaste, have a wonderful day. We will leave it at that.